I only did 16 for our
Right.
16th episode. Welcome back to the channel.
Welcome back.
It's always something.
Woo!
And it is always something. And let me tell you, I just lost my wallet. Seeing the movie, The Iron Claw. It was worth it.
The Iron Claw.
That's what I do to,
just
bring
got
content
home.
to the channel.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. If I have to lose a wallet to,
Yep.
get the show rolling,
You do what you got to do.
You do what you gotta
Get
do.
it done.
Just
you
like
do
Devon Eric.
what you do, and I do what I do.
This guy's still in the last episode.
Seriously, gee. He's trying to connect. He's trying to connect all the episodes, I think.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Well, so
Woo! I kind of got that Ric Flair. Woo!
woo,
Woo! Yeah, that's
Ric
it.
Flair.
Woo!
You're talking.
Now, let me tell you something. I'm the globe-trotting, alligator shoe wearing, limo driving, my line.
I paid $800 for this coat. I wouldn't wear this coat. I don't know what it is.
And I'm having a hard time.
I don't know if that in Iron Claw. I don't know if that guy who played Ric Flair. I don't feel like he did a good job on that.
Did or didn't? I think he
didn't.
No way. I thought he was bad.
I've seen Ric Flair. I've seen Ric Flair many videos.
Yeah.
I thought this guy doesn't seem like Ric Flair.
No.
I'm
guy
not,
seems
I'm not very familiar.
Like a joke.
His voice was completely off.
His voice was.
His attitude was off. There's a couple times where it's close, but then it's just like it just did not sound.
I feel like
him,
they could have
man.
casted that better.
Oh yeah,
Probably.
They must have. The real Ric Flair must have like backed out on it or something. They're probably gonna
I still see Ric Flair in interviews. I watch.
Oh yeah, he's on Joe Rogan not too long ago.
I watch. Actually, I started following.
Ric Flair?
Yeah, I do. What's funny is I never watched wrestling growing up.
Okay,
Ever.
I was going to ask you about that.
I
didn't.
I remember like Hulkmania. That was big when I was growing up, and I just never watched it. I always thought it looked stupid.
Yeah.
I just thought it looked,
So for the folks at
Fake.
home, we watched The Iron Claw. The Iron Claw is a movie about the Von Erich brothers and father. They were a group of wrestlers in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and that went through like the craziest tragedy a family could go through, just a domino effect of one by one. They're supposed to be like cursed or whatever, and it was so it was a story about their entire wrestling career, from like the dad wrestling to all the kids trying to make it in like WWF and all that stuff. Nowadays, of course, it's WWE.
Yeah.
But yeah, they wrestled some like legends and stuff. Some of them actually were on the show. They're trying to be world champions and stuff, and just bad things would happen, one by one. And then, for one reason or another, they didn't show up on the next show. You know what I'm saying?
Jeez. It's amazing. That's a big family.
So you guys never into wrestling?
Never into wrestling.
Never into
man.
wrestling. Not at all. I mean, the closest I got to wrestling was seeing Macho Man on the snapping some
Slim Jims. Yeah.
On the commercial. I always thought.
Yep.
Do you got a good
That's
Macho
as close
Man
as
at all?
I'm getting to this, huh?
You got a good Macho Man at all?
And I probably played some wrestling. I played wrestling video games. I did. I
Well, of
played
course,
like Rumble,
Royal Rumble
and crap like that. That's.
But
I
how's
never watched it.
but how's your Macho Man impression?
Oh yeah.
That's not bad. That's not
Oh
bad.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was sitting there. Oh, I'm gonna take him in the ring. I don't know what the heck he says.
You need
That's
to.
good.
You
I
need
need
to
to
lift,
work on my.
I bet if you lifted weights while you were doing that, it would
Yeah.
probably really
Yeah, try that.
amplify the voice.
Hulk, I'm gonna see you this Friday night in the ring. We're gonna take on Ric Flair. We're gonna tag team. Oh yeah, I'm the cream of the crop.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You started going in like a hybrid, like Hulk Hogan Macho Man thing.
Yeah.
It's like Macho Man, his promotions were always like very fluctuating. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm coming for him, Mean Gene.
Yeah,
Let me
that's
tell
a-
you something.
yeah, that's
I'm gonna get him in a headlock, yeah, and we're gonna stomp him, yeah. You look at Queen Elizabeth, and I'm coming at you, yeah, because I'm the Macho
Got
Man."
it. He's
just
been
morphed.
watching his whole life or something.
He just morphed into him.
I'm
For
telling
a
you,
second.
you got to start getting pumped,
No,
man.
you got it right on.
You start-
That's him.
Yeah, dig it.
Yeah, that's him, man.
Wow.
Anyways, I like Macho Man. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. You guys probably didn't have many favorites if you weren't big fans back
Right.
then.
Right.
But I liked Macho Man. He's very charismatic. Like that character just played so well. I mean, obviously, it went into selling Slim Jims and a million different things. He was in
Right.
Spider-Man. Like he did a lot of things.
Within the last 5 years, I've there's been days where I spent like a good couple hours watching
like old school.
wrestling videos of like the not the wrestling itself, but the
clips and stuff and the
just
promotions.
The promotional
promotions.
videos of Macho Man and Hulk and
For what?
Ric Flair.
Just them talking.
Just for the heck of it?
It's just hilarious.
Yeah,
It's
they're
just the way
hilarious.
They talk
Yeah.
is just
Some
so
of them
funny.
but they're so like pumped about it and stuff.
But
Like
you-
it's like they're characters, and they try to make you believe that they're
One
really
time,
them.
Ric Flair busted his head. You remember he had his bandage on his head.
Oh yeah,
You remember that? And he
they
started.
start smacking to make him
He
bleed.
smacked it. All of a sudden, his whole face was covered in blood.
Yeah,
It was real blood. And
So
he was
that's-
just like it was getting all over his clothes.
that's a
and-
wrestling trick. So they would if
Oh,
they had
man.
like wristbands and stuff, they'd carry razors in it, and they'd wait till like they got hit a lot, and then like they'd hit the ground and they'd pull out the razor and like cut a line.
What?
Oh yeah, it's a big time wrestling thing. Anytime they'd bleed, they'd purposely cut themselves with a razor they had on them. And
Why
then-
wouldn't they just use fake blood, like a little packet or something in their wristband?
Well, it's just impossible. They wanted to bleed like consistently. Every time they get hit, they wanted to bleed. It's part of selling the image. Of course,
Golly.
here's the thing: wrestling is not real, but it's not fake. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that's like I think that's what a lot of people like wrestlers would really get mad. There's actually there's a crazy interview with I can't remember the oh man, I wish I could think of his name. So there's much like this that we watched the Iron Claw. There's a thing called the Dark Side of the Ring that talks about all the crazy stories that happened, and actually that this was featured on it, the whole Von Erich thing. But there's this guy, he just made it to WWF, and he's going to be like the new big bad of the whole thing. And it's right when the steroid scandal started up and everything. But anyways, was it Geraldo?
Geraldo.
Geraldo. Is either Geraldo or some other flipping interviewer, some scumbag, but they jumped. I think it was Geraldo. He like went up and like start interviewing the guy, and he's like, "Well, wrestling's fake. Like, tell everyone it's fake."
Yeah.
And the guy's like, and I guess Vince
sounds like
McMahon told the guy,
Geraldo.
he's like, "Hey, if he goes at you, like, give him a little, show him it's not fake." But he didn't tell him to go this far.
Oh,
But
no,
anyways-
that wasn't Geraldo. That was somebody else. I know what you're
Are you
talking
sure
about.
it wasn't Geraldo? You sure
No,
about
I
that?
know who you're talking.
Who was it?
You're talking about Hulk did this to something.
No, it's some other guy.
Oh, okay. They're talking about something different.
Oh yeah, I know. You're talking
Yeah.
about the
talk show.
the talk show guy.
Yeah.
yeah, and he made him pass out.
Yeah.
No, the Geraldo one.
And
Geraldo's.
he passed out and he fell and he smacked
Bonked his head,
on,
you
the,
know?
on the stage and he like blacked out and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Whoa.
because he's saying how it's fake.
Yeah,
and he's
he's
like, "Oh, let
making
me show
fun
you how
of
fake
it.
it is. I'll show you how fake it is."
Yeah.
He's like, he put him in like sleeper hold and knocked him out.
Yeah.
Cold. And then he played it off like, oh yeah, like,
I think
but
he
you
got,
could tell
like,
he is gone.
yeah,
He's
he
out of
Wow.
it.
He
But
got
no,
big trouble.
Geraldo was interviewing some guy saying how fake it was and stuff, and the guy smacked him like right across the face, knocked him on his ass, and Geraldo's like, oh, like he's like, is that fake? Does that feel fake? You think that's fake still? And he goes, well, it's not real. What you do is not real, and he just smacked him again, put him into the
Wow.
wall. He dropped, and this is a big dude. Like, those wrestlers are big guys, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's-
Geraldo was maybe 112
Yeah.
pounds at the time. And he got up and he just ran away.
Well, that's
crazy.
just it. I think that's why they can do it. They're so big.
Oh, he got sued
and
for
they're,
it, but-
they're also so hyped up on
Just-
drugs
yeah,
and stuff.
and
Hey, now, we're not trying to say that. They
No,
may or
what?
may not
Just-
be.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
But,
They may or may
you
not
know,
be. We don't
yeah.
know.
So they got that rage going.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily all the time, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like they're big. They're on stuff. They're hyped up.
Right.
Who knows what they're on? Even if it's caffeine and stuff. I mean, they're hyped
And that's
up,
their image.
and they're big.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who goes to a gym and who's got a pump going and they're all hyped up on some pre-workouts or whatever, you almost kind of feel unstoppable. You almost feel like you can take a hit
Oh, yeah.
and you can just bounce off of it, you know?
Right.
So imagine these guys, a whole bunch of them who are massive and just knocking each other around
Right.
and not trying to hurt each other.
And that's
they could take
yeah.
probably
that's
a good
that's the
hit
point I was
and
trying
just
to
bounce right back up.
This is the point I was trying to make is yes, it is scripted, but the stuff they do in the ring is serious. Like, you can really get hurt, like really bad.
Well, you see
like,
'em,
it happens.
like-
The people have broken their necks in the ring, like broken backs,
Sure,
like ribs.
yeah.
Even in
There's-
the movie, they go back in the locker room. They're like putting ice packs
Oh,
on
yeah.
and like
Oh,
wrapping them, bandaging themselves
course.
up. They're probably out
Like,
for a
there's
while.
crazy stuff. Like, one of the craziest. I don't know if you ever saw this in the clips, but it was in the wrestler Mankind fought against the Undertaker. Did you ever see the Hell in the Cell? I think it's called.
I doubt it.
He threw him off. So they have the steel cage match, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's
Yeah,
all,
no,
but
no,
this
no,
is all a cage, and it's all like a fence basically. It's called Hell in a Cell, and you have to climb out of it to get out. But anyways, they end up on top, and Undertaker threw him off the top of the cage, like threw him. It's got to be a 40-foot fall through a table. No, I'm serious. It was
Yeah.
insane.
Table breaks your fall.
Table breaks his
and then you
fall,
get the
but
other-
he apparently knocked himself out. Mankind did.
Yeah.
And knocked his teeth through his nose. Like, it's all, like, you can see the video of it. His tooth went through his nose, and it's like, it looks like a booger, but it's because his tooth got knocked out and went straight through his gums into his nose. So after that, he gets knocked out, and he finally, comes back to, and he's like, oh, show got to go on. Show's got to go on. He's like, take me back to the top of the cage. And Undertaker's like, because they talk to each other while this is happening, and they make sure everyone's okay. And so he's like, yeah, bring me back to the top. So he brings him back to the top, and he's supposed to pick him up and just slam him on top of the cage or whatever. And so he picks him up, and he slams him on top of the cage, but the cage broke and went straight through the top into the cage. So it's like an unpredicted 20-foot fall straight onto the mat.
Gosh.
And like the announcer's like, by God, like, as my witness, Lord is my witness, he's dead.
Wow.
He was like, but even that, like, what's his name? Owen Hart, one of the wrestlers, he died from falling off the top of the ring. Like, it's crazy. Like, he was supposed to be coming down on a wire for a crazy entrance, and the wire snapped and he hit the ring post and he's gone.
Jeez.
And the craziest thing, he kept wrestling after that. Like, they got his
Dead?
body.
And he was wrestling dead?
No, he was not wrestling. They kept the show on, and yeah, just ridiculous.
Jeez.
Oh man, like
Well-
kind of like Weekend at Bernie's. They
I know.
kept on using them.
Oh my God.
We're tying him up to the wire. Let's go.
We gotta finish this.
The show must go on.
Oh gosh.
So before we really get into the show,
Yeah.
the movie, one weird thing that I, even just watching the movie, didn't really understand about wrestling in general is they talk about, you got to perform, you got to do this and that to win.
Sure.
And like they gave the impression that they would go compete with these other people for the title,
Right.
and like they wouldn't know who was going to win. Like,
They
isn't
kind
this
of gave
all
that
scripted
impression.
to know?
Well, they did a little. You could, if you listen to what they're saying, he was saying you have to put on a good show,
Yeah.
and that's true.
Understandable.
So the only way you're getting the title is if, and back then, so it's really weird. Back in the 80s, there was like 8 different wrestling outfits, and they're all about the same size, and the WWF was just one of many. And then they bought another one, and then Vince McMahon and his dad bought another one, so they had 3. Now they're the biggest. Now they're getting all the TV time, and they start getting all these ads, and they're making some money. So everyone's like, oh, I want to go wrestle for them because they got all this money. So then he starts poaching all the talent. He'd go around, he'd see Andre the Giant wrestle, and he's like, well, I got to have him. By the time Andre the Giant wrestled in the WWF, he was way past his prime, but he's still, he was what he was. He's a giant dude. You had to get him in, so he did. And but back then everyone had their own title, and they'd fight each other's guy for the title. And of course, typically whoever's going to wherever is where they'd win, But if you have a lot of, they call it heat. If you have a lot of heat, you're really like popular. The crowd really likes you. There's been times they've swapped the belt. The guy losing didn't know he's going to lose. Like there's,
Well, see, that's what I'm wondering. Like,
that's happened. That has happened.
Oh, I could see that.
Like it happened in it's called the Bret the Hitman Hart was wrestling Shawn Michaels, and it's a whole crazy thing. Bret Hart his contract was up with WWF, and he's the current champion, and he signed a new contract with WCW, so he's moving on, but he is still the champion. So Vince McMahon is like, hey, just give it to the next guy. But he hated Shawn Michaels, so he's like, no, I'm not going to give it to him. He's a dick. We don't get along. Anyone else? But Shawn Michaels was the hottest guy in the WWF. So long story short, they told Bret Hart he's going to win. There's going to be, they went through all the different things they're going to do. And he's like, all right, you'll win after like 30 minutes. Well, at about 25 minutes, there's this part where he's supposed to put him in this submission move. And he did it. And they're like, oh, he gave up. And they just ring the bell. It's over. And they give him and so like, you could see it's again, a real thing where it's just like, they stole the title from him,
I heard that Bret Hart, I think it was Goldberg or something, who kicked him in the face.
Oh yeah, heard him.
And it basically kind of ended
his career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He like hated
Everyone,
Goldberg
a lot of people hated Goldberg
because he always hurted people and like too like he wasn't. They said he wasn't a good wrestler. He just was, but he was always hurting.
He's
people.
huge. He's a big dude and he looked good.
Yeah,
but it's just like Hulk Hogan, where he, like the wrestling skill they said was like out of 10 is like a 5. Like his promotional skill was a 10.
Yeah,
his image and look and everything that's a 10. But when it came to the actual skill in wrestling, it was subpar. It just.
Well, I felt like Eric Von, well, not Eric, Kevin Von Erich. There we go. Kevin Von Erich's wife. them two had a good explanation of like said it's wrestling's fake, so I don't get it. What do you mean you want to be this? Like how it's all fake.
Be a champion, yeah.
And I felt like he had a really good explanation, like how he explained that to her, like how it works.
Right.
Was like perfect.
Right.
And I doubt I could repeat that exactly, but I mean, basically being that it's a show, but you're performing, and if by performing well, you can get promoted, and that's what he said, promoted.
And once you become,
and then you can be the next champion. It's like by putting on
you
a
have
good
to earn
show.
it.
You have to earn it. Yeah.
So there's by putting on good shows, eventually you're going to be the champion unless you really screw
up. And he said,
up.
you got to get the crowd. They want to,
you want the
give
heat.
the crowd what they want. They have the heat, right?
Mm-hmm. So anyways, let's talk about the movie itself. So it was based on a true story. That means, it was close. Like I would say 8 out of 10 things were pretty similar to what happened in real life, but we're just talking about like how of the movie there was the four Von Erich brothers, right?
That were in the movie?
Yeah.
And
five. There's five. One died as a kid.
Yeah.
And then there was in real life though, there's 6.
Yes.
And he's another one of them that,
I feel like that's really odd that they left the 1 out. You did 5 out of the 6. Why not just
because there was too much
too
many
deaths. So there's a lot of people that decided not to live anymore just to stay in the good graces of the YouTube algorithm. There's certain words you can't say.
Really?
And that's one of them.
That's one of them?
Oh,
really?
you can't say that. Yeah. If you say you can say it any other way you want. It's just so dumb. That's the one thing I hate about YouTube. Like, it just makes you look stupid. YouTube, I'm looking at you. We're going to say the word. Be an adult, It's like people
That's
are smart
really
enough
weird.
to figure it out. But
and if you
like the R word,
tag
the bad thing that happens to people with the pants off, you can't say that. You're eliminated instantly. You can't say the one where you die.
Video for 18 and up, not for kids, basically not for kids, then
but then you lose advertisers.
Right.
And you don't get put in the algorithm.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So you can still put it on there. People, you just won't be found. It'll bury you.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So that's just a word you can't say. Thanks, YouTube, for making us look dumb. But we'll say it the stupid way. But
She says that's a big part of this movie too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people decided not to live any longer in the family. Several people. And in real life, it was one more additional.
Yeah.
We're not going to ruin anything and say who it was, but
right. But I think it's odd though that if you're going to do that many, just tell the story as it is.
Tell the story.
I mean, what's the point in leaving out one more? Oh, one more. No, that's too much.
Oh, that's too much. I think it actually would have been even more. I think it would have been.
Then do it.
I think it would have added to it even more. It's like, geez,
I agree.
Dude,
I would have think, man, Kevin really went through a lot,
like,
man.
Yeah. One of the brothers ends up losing his leg because he's drunk because his brother died, and so he's like so sad and depressed. He's drinking too much and gets in a motorcycle accident. And he was actually one of the more popular ones. He's the one that made it to the WWF. Gary, yeah. I guess he's a former Olympian and stuff. I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
And of course, more bad family stuff. They made it to Olympics, and they decided that's either the Americans were going to skip the Olympics.
Yeah.
Terrible, man.
That's
what
just
bad
that.
luck, dude.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter said, "We're not going to play in Russia because they are invading Afghanistan." At the time,
and who knows what Kerry could have done. I mean, that was the Von Erich curse, just not meant to be.
Right. So that's what they said. The whole family's cursed. If they took the last name of Von Erich, bad things are going to happen. And then, like later on, Kevin ends up having a son, and he doesn't name him after himself because he doesn't want the son to have a curse. And it's crazy. So let's talk about the actors in it. Let's talk about Zack Efron. Man, that dude, got ripped.
They make him look like the biggest of them
all of them.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you look up like
the pictures,
I looked up. I was watching this video of Kerry versus Ric Flair.
Yeah,
man, that guy's huge.
Kerry was
huge, and he was tall.
Yeah,
Kerry was short in this video. In this movie,
it made him look too short. I agree with that.
Like he was like the short guy. He came up to Ric Flair. He was like
tall.
this.
He's a big dude.
Monster man, tall, massive. He was bigger than flipping Zac Efron was in that movie. I was like, dang, man, this guy. So they probably were shown, this is your real life person who you're, trying to represent. Well, Zac Efron was already big. He's just like, okay, well, let's just get bigger.
Yeah.
And then, I know the guy obviously who played, Kerry, who was in The Bear. that
Yeah,
chef
yeah.
movie, stuff like that. I mean,
Where, what was he in?
It's
was
a
in The
chef
Bear, he was in
series.
he was in Shameless.
Shameless.
Oh.
He was
yeah.
never a big guy, like
Never-
a muscular
yeah.
guy.
Right.
So for him to get to where Carrie was in real life,
It's
that's
impossible.
That's unrealistic.
I mean, for any of them to get to like a actual wrestler
Oh,
status,
yeah.
it's just impossible.
it's
That's like a
insane.
lifetime
You'd
of
have
taking
to drug
a
up
certain
so much, and
yes, a certain
I
diet
mean-
and yeah, definitely some performance
We'll have to
enhancing
bleep that out.
supplements. That
Yeah.
no, I mean it's true though. I mean that was a
Yeah.
big thing. A lot of them admitted
Well, yeah,
they took
you have to.
steroids to get that big, and that's the only way you could do it. And I mean, if you got that big, you're talking complete life changing experience. You know?
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah,
One thing that blows my mind is like, especially during the '90s and early 2000s, there's this wrestler named Lex Luthor. He's supposed to take over for Hogan and stuff.
yeah.
And he was huge, just a giant dude. And if you look at him tonight, like now, he's a tiny little shrimp.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's insane, dude. Look it up. Like we'll post the image of one and the other. Like, oh, look at that. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
They did,
Dang,
yeah.
oh my
That's
gosh.
wild.
But yeah, the body style change is just absolutely insane. But man, that's a whole crazy lifestyle.
I mean, I guess you could say the same about Kevin Von Erich, too. I mean, because I just looked up pictures of him, and looks like a typical older dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Well,
Once it come down off
I mean,
it, you
age
know.
obviously you lose
of course.
it, and if you were pumped up on testosterone and all this junk, I mean, you're gonna lose that once you stop taking it.
Yeah.
But then
That's the
you're also
first
gonna-
thing you'll lose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then you're gonna lose your natural muscle size just with age,
Right.
and so you're gonna really lose a lot.
Although Hulk Hogan still looks like a beast somehow, some way. That dude's still ripped.
Yeah,
Crazy. Like you can see the old man in him now because like his
Right.
skin's a little saggy and stuff, but
yeah.
still a big dude.
Him and Ric Flair, I kind of follow both of them online, and it's amazing how very different, very different lifestyles.
Yeah.
Seems like
Hmm.
because Hulk Hogan's kind of made a shift toward
Well, he's supposed to be all in Christian now.
yeah, he's a Christian now.
Yeah.
He wasn't
he's
before.
like in deep. I think he married some lady.
He was a long time. There's a crazy
well, he
backstory to all
divorced.
that.
I mean,
he
all that,
and
but-
Macho Man used to be best friends in real life, and
Yeah.
like Queen Elizabeth was friends with his wife and stuff, and then this whole thing where like Elizabeth was really she was like a small town girl, and then like she got a taste of the big city life, and
Wait, Queen Elizabeth?
yeah, his promoter, the girl for Macho Man.
Oh.
We're talking about the Queen of England here.
I was like,
I
what
forgot
is
you
the
guys
connection
are.
here?
You guys just don't know. Yeah, she's like the manager for
Hulk
Macho
Hogan's
Man.
royalty now?
Oh my gosh, a little bit.
Oh yeah!
Oh, yeah.
Oh, jeez. But anyways, there's a whole backstory to that. Like, there's so many crazy things in wrestling that's over the top. But let's stick to the movie again.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
get back to the movie.
So Zac Efron got ripped. Everyone was pretty ripped in it, except for like the younger
man.
brother, which clearly wasn't really supposed to be. But even the dad
Yeah.
was pretty ripped.
Mikey,
Little Mikey, yeah.
he was tiny. Obviously, he was not.
No, that's the Iron Claw.
He wasn't
So the
built for
Iron
a
Claw is the
wrestler.
move, the family move. It's like a submission move where you crush someone's skull with your hand. They don't really talk about it too much, but they do feature it a few times, and that's what the whole
Kinda
movie
dumb,
kind of
honestly.
dumb. There's
Yeah,
much
it's
better
their
moves.
move. It's their signature
Oh.
move.
Yeah, there's much better.
I
moves.
almost felt weird for who they're going up against. I felt like they got.
I have to tap out to that.
Yeah, exactly. This is a joke. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, other people are doing some serious stuff, and you're holding me with your hand, acting like
Right.
it's some powerful force. I mean, get out of here.
Get out of here with that. You know,
I
I'm
think
not
it's
tapping
just
for
stuff
that
like
crap.
that I didn't
Yeah,
like
it's just too
wrestling.
dumb,
It's
right.
just too dumb. It's like,
yeah.
There were some crazy, dumb things in wrestling. I mean, let's be honest. They tried some certain things and it just didn't work. But apparently they did a good enough job because they made a lot of money. So
yeah, and it was popular. Kids just loved wrestling.
Still
I
do.
remember,
Still, it's as big as ever currently.
Mm.
But
It is weird
It's
how
wild.
it's weird how that just keeps on
going and going.
Yeah, it keeps going.
it's just weird to me that for kids to know that it's, or anybody to know that it's they're mostly all staged,
Well,
but yet they still, I mean, I guess movies are too.
Pre-scripted, yeah. It's entertainment.
So it's just
That's why they call it
entertainment.
wrestling entertainment now.
I just couldn't get
see,
past
that's
that.
how I felt about I thought you see these wrestlers, you see them put on this wacky show. To me, growing up, I felt like that's entertainment for kids who don't
Right.
know any better.
Right.
Mhm.
That they're putting on this dumb show and they're kind of acting so exaggerated,
Yeah.
and just so overly animated that they're just seem almost dumb to an adult.
Right.
You'd think that, but then when you see adults into it, just kind of
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
Right.
But adults are like
You
their
know-
main audience.
You know who two of the biggest fans in wrestling are? One is
You?
David Arquette. Me. David Arquette, from Scream and whatnot, many other movies.
Yeah.
David Arquette's huge in the wrestling.
Huh.
You remember he's in a wrestling movie he made, remember? Ready to Rumble? You saw it with me many years ago.
I did see that. I don't know.
It's a wrestling movie.
I don't remember
anyways.
you being there.
Well, I was.
You were probably sleeping.
Thanks. Yeah, oh my
Probably
gosh.
watching Willow.
Clearly, I remember it. You don't. No big deal. But another one, Freddie Prinze Jr. Huge in the wrestling. Is it
What
like a
happened to
wrestling
him,
podcast?
man?
It's funny.
Well, he got into wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened. I do.
So there's a lot of controversy with recently that I heard about Zac Efron, about him
His
with
jaw.
his jaw and stuff. So I was kind of like looking for that when I was.
I didn't really
watching
see it.
I didn't really see it. I mean, I guess I don't know. I think a lot of it is him
Probably a lot of
being
makeup on
older, him being more pumped up.
Well, apparently he broke his jaw. He had to get
Yeah,
surgery,
he
and
did.
then
He had
some
extra
people are
work
saying
done.
he had extra work done, which he may have.
He may
he
have.
definitely looks a little different for sure.
The thing is, when you're talking about some like high level Beverly
Right.
Hills,
But that's sad because he's
Contact.
already like quite a handsome
Exactly.
man. He was very
is.
handsome.
Oh yeah, but
and
that's what happens. Though.
it'd be like you or
Yeah.
I getting work done.
man,
Like it's just ridiculous. Like you
I
can't
agree.
really.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
you can't make
I
it the
know,
same
right?
better,
You got
you
that
know?
right. But unfortunately, that seems like that's who does it the most often is the
Yeah.
ones who don't need it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
You know?
actually there's another.
They're desperately trying to maintain that youthness.
Did you ever watch The
youthfulness.
Boys? I tried to get you to watch that. I can't remember if you did. The show.
Oh, I did. I
you did.
definitely did. Yeah.
Do you remember Starlight? Starlight.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen her?
No.
Oh, you don't want to know. man.
No.
You don't want to know. She got her whole face redone.
No.
People call her Ghoul Moriarty now, or Moriarty.
When did this happen?
What a
like
shame.
6 months ago. And she was beautiful. She was she was like your typical small town
Dang
hot
it,
girl.
Man, I swear.
This guy's got some emotional connections
Seriously,
over here.
it's ridiculous.
It's just she's another one of those like Jennifer Love Hewitt,
Yep.
Jessica Alba, like these ones
Natural
that were, like,
beauties.
just like they have an
Yeah.
natural
And Hollywood
attractiveness to
ruins
them,
them.
and then all of a sudden they just
Yep.
They get
have
jammed.
work done or something, and now they're just like they don't even look
They get
natural.
jammed into the Hollywood machine. They just they make them believe they're not hot. It's like you got there.
That's too
yeah,
bad.
maybe you're 35 now, but you're a hot 35.
Such a shame.
Yeah.
That's
Or
it
to
is.
me, it's always the Botox or like lip injections really
Yeah.
really
Yep.
bugs
Well,
me.
you know what? That girl who played their mom in that movie in the Iron Claw, their mom.
Oh.
I know her from other movies.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that too.
Well, yeah, her lips, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and I thought, man, she looks familiar. I know her from other movies, but I just wasn't sure which ones. She was in Liar Liar, and she was attractive because I remember her being attractive,
Mhm.
like an attractive woman who like probably would age really well.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people, like her.
Okay.
age really, they just do. They just, they age really well. Like,
Yeah, some people do.
anywhere from like 20 to 50, they just don't seem to age very much.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then when you get work done, you look,
it's
you look
instant.
fake,
It's
you
instant.
look old. It's just.
And then
Yeah.
even like when you get like in a movie, they put all the makeup on you, you still look just.
It's just there's no saving
ridiculous,
it.
man. There's no saving it. Just
It's true.
age with grace,
And just
Come
to
on.
throw a couple things out there,
Let's do
when
it.
because of that,
Mhm.
because of her lips being blown out like that, she had this like this kind of pursing look to,
She did.
and it reminded me of someone. You know who it was? It's way
Tell
out
me.
there, guys.
Who?
It reminded me of the guy in 3 O'clock High.
Man, that's a movie I haven't heard in a
the
long
guy-
time.
Clock high.
The guy in 3 O'Clock High, the bad guy. He
I
had
don't even remember what he looks
he
like.
was
I gotta look
just,
it up.
he kind of had this pursing look to his lips.
Can you show us what it looks like?
It's hard when you keep laughing, but if you look him up in that, I think he was also in Kindergarten Cop as the bad guy.
Oh, this picture.
Yeah, and he has that same kind of
This
look to his
guy.
face. He does that a lot with his lips. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
He does that a lot with his lips, and I swear it looked like him. Anyway, that, and then also we're talking about Zac Efron. I definitely noticed a lot of change in him. You
Yeah.
look at, and I saw recently a picture of him young,
Yeah.
when he not young because you can never compare that
Right.
accurately, but
It's not
you
fair.
know, a young adult
right.
to where he is now,
Right.
and he definitely looks massively different,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah.
drastically different. But his voice, I don't know. You don't know what's coming from stuff you take and what's done from surgery or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, his voice sounded like.
His voice is
Did
different.
it sound like anyone to you guys? Probably not. But
No, I didn't
mean,
really think about it.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh,
Really?
I swear the whole movie he sounded like Joaquin
I
Phoenix.
never would have.
And it
We're gonna
was
have to put-
mostly when he was talking kind of quietly.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded just like Joaquin Phoenix when he talks kind of quietly, which he does a lot.
Yeah. Wow.
I wanted to put.
Never
Yeah.
thought about it.
So what else? What else about the movie? Like, is there? I thought.
I mean,
So one thing I'll say that was a plus and minus about the movie. They definitely went for the artsy fartsy shots, and I felt like some of the scenes
They
took
did
too long.
some of them.
It was like a wide pan out of, and just like a person like walking to a stairway, and then they'd start walking up the stairs, and I'm thinking, well, I mean, you could have shot that in less time. You know, I get the scene you're trying to set, but a lot of it, like some of it, were like intentionally out of focus and stuff. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm glad they skipped it, because at the very beginning, it was like a close, like there's people wrestling at the very beginning.
Oh,
get you
yeah.
to set the scene,
Right.
But they're doing the quick cam like bullcrap that they did in Jason Bourne 2, where it's like all over the place, like they're trying to make you part of the action. It's like, oh my gosh, if this
Yeah.
movie's gonna be like that, I'm gonna walk
I know.
out.
I was feeling almost a ton dizzy
Yeah.
there for a second.
So you
there.
just can't
I was
focus
like,
on what's
whoa,
going on.
man.
Luckily, they cut that crap out right after that was over.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the shots were a little too artsy fartsy for me. It's
Yeah.
definitely, they went more of an art element of telling the story than an action or very truthful
I mean, there was a lot
biography.
of drama.
A lot of drama, and they definitely set it up to
So
be
they
very.
had to make it more,
Yeah.
to try to set the feeling by
Yeah.
different.
One thing, a couple things I
shots.
didn't like also were like when some of the people were all of a sudden out of the movie, I guess you would say, for whatever reason. Like the cut to the reason, like it just be like, it showed them in a scene, and the next scene they're just gone, and like the phone would ring, like, oh, he's, your brother's dead, and it's like, I don't know. I wish
Well,
some
would
of
you
it.
rather have seen the
Yeah.
actual?
I kind of.
I would have
incident?
not shown the whole thing. Like you had to show the last one. That was mandatory. Like you had to show that happen, because that's like a big
yeah,
gut
of course,
busting
right.
move, But like the part where the brother, I think it should have showed. I guarantee there's probably hours upon hours of footage sitting on the floor, because I felt like there's just things that cut that they shouldn't have. Like just personally.
You talking about when David passed away in Japan?
If that's what happened in the movie, I don't remember. But yes,
I mean,
there's a part where one of the
Are we
brothers
not-
dies.
is this just
I don't.
a
I was trying to
spoiler?
tiptoe around it.
Spoiler alerts
The
and
spoiler.
stuff.
People die. Anyways, one of
Well,
them dies when he's going somewhere.
it's a true
and-
story. So
Yeah,
You can
I
look
mean,
it
I
up.
know it's.
Yeah, but anyways,
you know,
like they allude to it right before it happens. Like he's like coughing up blood and stuff. He's like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm
Yeah.
fine." But I wish they would have like shown him in like after the match in Japan, like just like not show him die or anything, but just like something bad's happening, and then cut to it. Just like, because all of a sudden it's like he's gone, and it's like it made it seem like is the next day when it wasn't. It was like weeks later that this happened. It died like 2 weeks later. And it just made it seem like, the night ended, and then all of a sudden he wakes up the next day, answers his phone,
Yeah.
and it didn't seem like 2 weeks to me. That's all I'm saying. It just
Okay.
it took me out of
Gotcha.
it. And there's different scenes that they just,
Yeah.
like I said, all in all, it was good. I liked
Yeah.
it, but
I thought it was a really good movie. I thought they did a really good job with it, and especially coming from somebody who doesn't know the story.
right.
I thought they
and
did
you
a
didn't
really
even
good
like
job.
wrestling, so
And I
like,
didn't like
yeah.
wrestling, so I thought they did a really good job with it. The
The footage was great. All that characters acted
characters
really
were all
well.
good. The
I
acting
think
was
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
acting was
everyone was
great.
great. There wasn't a bad actor in all of them. Even
Yeah,
like,
if you're
yeah.
if you're on the fence about seeing it, I would say go see it, because
Oh, yeah.
it's a great
You don't-
movie. It's not it's very emotional.
super emotional. Yeah.
I mean, I felt like everybody in the row was crying. I looked
Yeah.
down to Caleb, was just sobbing.
Oh, yeah.
You don't
But-
even have to be into wrestling to like to enjoy the movie.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I definitely felt it. Like, I felt like I didn't cry or anything. And then nothing's wrong with crying. I've cried at movies before, but I could feel it. Like, I feel like the swelling up around your eyes. Like, oh man, 'cause
Exactly.
You start thinking about your own brother and
Oh,
stuff, and
absolutely.
it's like, man, that's.
Oh, it's a major time.
you
I
think
mean,
if your brother died like that,
Mhm.
it's like, ooh,
I'm glad they
it
kept
hurt.
it moving
Yeah.
though. I'm glad they didn't kind of dwell in those.
Well, they had
sad
to get through a
times.
lot of brothers dying.
Right. That's exactly it. I mean, they just kept it moving, and it's good, kind of good.
Right.
But
But man, their dad
Yeah.
is a real jerk.
that,
Holy
man.
that's just all it comes down to. That dad, and I wanted to get into that
Yeah.
was all of this stems from that dad
Yeah.
and his pressure to succeed, you know, they pushes
No matter
on his
what.
kid
Yep.
to win, which honestly, I think when you grow up in that environment to press to win,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's amazing that those brothers were so close. And if they really were that close, that's awesome.
Apparently they were. Like even
Because-
in the other documentary I saw, they're extremely. The
Because
brothers were really close, and they love their dad, of course. But
yeah,
but
that's
the
amazing.
brothers were their own thing. Like
Yeah.
they just had their own thing.
I think that it was probably a situation where the dad was trying to live through the kids because
Oh,
he
yeah.
said over and over, I didn't get to bring the belt, the
Right.
championship belt into the household. Now you guys are going to do it.
Yeah.
He
So
said that
he-
several times. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of making it obvious
Yeah.
like he's living through his kids.
She's living through his kids, and
Yeah.
his kids are they have each other. That's all they have. Their mom.
Even the
they
mom's
didn't have
very
any support
absent,
from
yeah.
their mom.
No.
They made that obvious that they would
Right
go
from
to
the
their mom
start.
now and then, and mom would say, "That's your problem. Deal with it with your brothers."
Yeah.
So it's almost like the parents pushed the brothers to have that bond with each other,
Yeah.
and
I think, yeah, that's
which
it.
is awesome. But
Right.
at the same time, you still need
Like
your
you-
support from your parents.
Yeah, when your mom tells you figure that out with your brothers, you guys have to figure that out for yourselves. It forces
Even, like,
you to get
yeah, like-
together with your brothers and like team up and like support each other and figure
Yeah.
things out and grow
Even
with
like
each
towards the
other.
end when like the one brother is getting close to
yeah,
just real depressed, and the son calls the dad. He's like, "Hey, check on blah blah for me because he's coming over there, and like you need to make sure he's all right." And the dad just like, "Nah, you can do it when you get here." And it's just very hands off. He's like not
would-
emotionally there.
Being that
So.
Kevin, I don't know. I guess spoiler alert, it doesn't matter. You think that Kevin's the only one currently alive in the world? I mean, I think that's just a fact. That's not really a movie thing. That's just a fact.
oh yeah, he is.
But I mean, I assume that a lot of these things, I don't know. I assume a lot of this stuff came from him. Like,
Or his kids, or the kids
Something.
from the other brothers too.
yeah. And so I'm, if that's true, like he told his dad, I'm sure that whole idea of him telling his dad or needing his dad to be there for his brother, and he wasn't there for him, I guarantee that came from Kevin. I'm sure he probably
Yeah.
told them, the writers, like, that's the bottom line,
Mhm.
he's never been there for us, and they just really made that into a part that didn't exist in real
Yeah.
life. But
Yeah, and I kept thinking at the end, like they kept talking about the curse, the family curse, and they felt that like it came from the name. But as you watch the movie, you realize the real curse is the dad.
yeah.
I mean, he is the
Absolutely.
curse in the family.
And I kind of wondered about the mom character throughout the movie. Like, obviously, she started off, and she dismisses her son,
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Figure it out for yourself." I thought maybe not like her from the start, but then I thought, is she gonna how is she gonna play into this whole
Mhm.
thing? She's got to be more part of it than that.
Yeah,
And then you can see that she cares for her kids, and she, like when she sat there with Mike and talked about her painting and just
Mhm.
different things. I mean, she obviously, loves the kids and stuff, but
yeah.
Just-
I kept thinking,
it's like the dad just made his
yep,
place so prominent and like so powerful that she just doesn't even
yep.
interfere.
She doesn't cross them.
No.
And it really made me wonder watching the movie if she does in real life, or if she does, like if she just falls in line and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
I mean, sometimes people
I kept expecting them to show him being abusive too to her and the
Right.
kids,
Yeah.
but they never
I
do.
kind of wondered about that.
I wonder if
their
they didn't do
relationship.
that, or if he was like that in real life. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they may not have entered in because it just
Yeah.
opens up a whole other chapter.
Right.
The movie's long enough as it
Right.
is.
Well, speaking of which, I mean, we should probably maybe. What do we want to throw out a rating? We got more to talk about? Do we
No.
need to get deeper? I mean, I think we covered most of the bases.
Yeah, we
think
covered
so.
most of it while you were gone. No, I think we're good.
All right. I mean, so let's talk about ratings then. Let's get down to
let's
the
get
brass
down to the rating
brass
here.
taxes here.
Yeah.
It's weird though that
Do you have your
know-
rating?
I do.
having looked into wrestling a
Yeah.
little bit, like I said, I didn't grow up into it because I wasn't interested in it. But over the last years that I have kind of, looked into some of the stuff, because I know some of the people, obviously, because they're so popular,
Right.
the Von Erichs were not any of the things people
Ever heard about,
I had
right.
ever even heard of.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, like I said, the only
No,
one
you're
that made
right.
it.
I never did
For
either.
such a big family.
The only
growing
one that
up,
made
it's
it to
like weird.
WWF was Eric.
Carrie.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kerry as the Texas Tornado. He then that's after he lost his leg. And so he was only so good, like at that, even then, and that was his prime.
I think that's just it. Yeah, they were
so
just a little
after
bit
that,
earlier.
he was going to be let go, and that's when.
It's funny because Caleb was never really into wrestling, but sometimes I'd walk past his room and I'd see him tangled up with some young boy in there.
A young boys.
Both of them in their tighty whities.
Is that when he was a kid, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was maybe one of his fantasies or something.
Oh my gosh.
Chris Powell.
I could see Dan doing that. Maybe Andy. I don't know.
Oh.
I've never been really into the tidy whities thing, so.
They sure were in the movie.
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
Oh,
That was pretty funny.
No, that was a thing back in that time.
Yeah,
I think even
that's all he wore in the ring, anyways.
I think in the 80s.
That's true.
just blue ones.
Yeah.
I think
The
you
80s
walked
are all
around your
about tidy
house
whities,
in some
yeah.
tidy whities as a kid or as a teen.
Right.
I think it's just kind of like, that's
Yeah.
what you do.
And tube socks with the blue
yeah,
and gold.
right. That's an 80s thing for
Big
sure.
time. And they even had the mesh shirts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They definitely even the clothing in that whole movie was right on, man.
And
It's just
actually,
like-
the music was awesome. It had
The music was
a great
good, too.
soundtrack, too.
For sure.
yeah,
but-
I think the whole movie was
Yeah, the
really
whole
good.
movie.
Really
let's
well.
get if we're going to talk
Let's
about that.
get
Let's
back
just
into
talk
the
about
ratings
it.
here.
Let's talk about it.
What's your rating?
My rating is going to be I would call it 7.7. I think I think it's a 7.7 because like we said, everything was great. There's a couple things I didn't so much like with some of the cinematography, but the acting was excellent. The story was great, even though and that's one thing that I took a notch down because it's not the actual true story. It's mostly the true story.
But that's always
That's
every
always the
single
case, yeah. But I'm a
documentary.
stickler for actual facts, and I think if they stuck to the facts, it's just as good, if not better. So I didn't agree with some of the cuts they made, but because I already knew the story. But everything else was great. It was a good movie. It touched you. It made you made you feel things. It was ups and downs. It covered the whole spectrum of feelings: sad, happy. So. Woo! It's sad, it's happy, it's everything you want. Woo! 7.7.
All right, Caleb.
All right, wait.
Oh, he's got the vibes going.
You're in.
I was actually right there, real close to you. Actually,
I know you actually sat right next to me.
I was wondering if you were gonna say the same number as me, but you didn't.
Uh-oh.
You're close though.
Oh, I bet you got the same number as me then.
7.5.
Oh no.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I was close.
What did I say, 7.6?
7.7.
7, yeah, okay. 7.7.
7.5.
I'll stick by that.
Honestly, same general reasons as we already talked about and as you mentioned. Not much else to say.
I enjoyed it, yeah. What about you?
I'm gonna do an 8.
An 8?
Yeah,
Wow.
I just thought it was very good.
Yeah.
If a movie usually brings me close to tears, I think that's a
Yeah, if it makes you
bonus.
feel actual feelings,
Yeah.
A lot of times you go to
Yeah.
movies and you just like when we saw Thanksgiving, for example, you just sit down and you watch and you don't have any
Oh,
emotions
that's a
involved
joke.
at all.
Yeah,
It's just
no.
whatever. But in movies like this, it actually tugs at you. It makes you think about things. Like I said, it makes you think about family and friends and all
I think
that stuff.
the closeness of those brothers was just like
the big
Yeah.
thing of it.
it was
was
so
awesome.
tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could see it. I mean, I think they acted so well and they their emotions of losing their brothers and that, especially when you have siblings, that you're close with.
Yeah.
Knowing, losing one is just like
I thought it was also
Oh,
funny. I
man.
mean, even when he was out on a date and she says, "What's your life goals?" He said to
Yeah.
have a house and have all my brothers live with me.
yeah.
What?
Oh, he was. I mean, it's so obvious, and throughout the movie, that same thing is like.
Yeah.
It's all family. It almost
Yeah.
makes you wonder, do they not even have neighbors? I feel like they're just
I'm actually-
all they know is like what their dad
Yeah, I'm
tells
surprised.
them, their family.
Yeah.
I don't even think they're in school.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised Vin Diesel wasn't in this because it's all about family.
That's
Family,
Oh,
family,
Oh, family.
family.
It's true.
All right, I guess there you have it. We got a 7.7, a 7.5, and an 8.
Yep.
It's a good movie.
good.
Go out and watch it. It's a unique
Yeah.
movie. You don't see movies quite like
Absolutely.
this.
I'd recommend it.
Yeah, it's a high recommend.
Yeah.
Some people might think a 7's low. It's not. A 7's above average.
Oh, if you watch
know?
some of our other episodes, you'll know we
Right.
don't even rate this high very often.
Right. We're sticklers.
Yeah, we
we
are.
stick right in the paint. We're like, to get a 10 is extremely difficult. To
Yeah.
get even a 9 is a must see.
Yeah.
And an 8, I mean, that's a classic. 7 is still a must see. Like
You got
this one you could see it at home and it wouldn't really change too much. It's just all you definitely want to go with people you care about though. I think they'll make it make for a better watching scenario. You know, if you got a brother, you know, tag him in. Go into there.
If we rate something,
you could hold
7,
hands.
Oh, yeah, brother. Your brother's holding.
The only time I ever hold
hands.
hands with my brother is tagging him in to the match.
Yeah.
You know, for a DDT or a sleeper or whatever, figure 4.
Bottom line, is, if we
Sharpshooter.
rate something 7 or above, don't even think about whether you want to see it or not. You get out there and
Right.
see it.
Get a ticket right now.
You start clicking on that download button or the stream now.
That's right. You
button,
use.
and most importantly, you click that like, subscribe.
That's right. How about this? How about this? How about? Hey, brother, back home, you elbow drop that like, all right? Maybe you would put the figure 4 on the old subscribe button. Yeah. What do you think?
Oh, so good.
Anyways,
I support it.
Like,
We gotta get some
subscribe.
we gotta get some bonus content of extra.
I know, seriously. I think when we go offline, we'll make another clip of all of us doing our we'll make our own wrestling personas, right? And we'll come back here with some good promos about the It's Always Something podcast. So
Yeah.
there you have it.
There you
deal.
have it.
What is going on? Oh yeah, there we go.
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah.
How big are those pythons?
I don't know, probably 20 or 30s.
Okay, they tens. Okay, they tens.
That's still cool.
What movie is that from?
I know.
All right, they tens.
Those 20s?
Yeah, they 20s.
They don't look like 20s.
All right, they tens.
They still look good though.
Oh gosh.
You're gonna tell them?
See you next week.
That's it.
You'll
See you
never
next
know
week.
what movie that's from.
Yeah, you'll-
Look it up, guys.
Yeah, look it up, guys.
Tell us if you know in the
Yeah,
comments.
leave a comment below if you know what movie that's from. We'll send you a pretzel with a sardine. Bye.